Welcome back everyone, it's me 1.4 So in this video I'll be taking a look at some of the weapons for Venti and what I recommend if you're gonna get Venti, because his rerun banner is coming really soon. So it's probably a good time to try to decide a weapon you want to be building on Venti. Before we start the video, do consider liking and subscribing, and let's get right into the video now. So let's just move into the stats real quick for artifacts and stuff. I'm going to be using a level 90 Venti, and for the artifacts, max out feather with attack percent on the stand piece with some attack percent on the self stats. Not much, just 19.9%. And then crit rate helmet with just a little bit of crit rate on the self stats as well, and then a lot more crit damage on self stats. You might not be getting this much, but this much shouldn't be super difficult to get. Consider you're getting 50%, and then 180. This is in my opinion is doable. Just requires a little bit of artifact farming, and obviously I'm running a amino damage cup with the set bonus, which will be our 4-piece Iridescent, because that's the set that's going to make us do the most amount of damage on our ultimate. And for the enemy level, I am running on level 90 enemy, and here are defense multipliers. And here is our amino resistance, and other elements gonna have a lower resistance just because Iridescent will swirl and lower the enemy resistance. And here are all the weapons I'll be testing in this video. Stringless R1 to R5, Blackcliff R1 no stacks, Blackcliff fully stacked, Favonius Bow, Crescent Prototype Crescent R1, Rust, Sacrificial Bow, Iridescent Hunt, Skyward Harp, Amos Bow. These 4 are the newer weapons. So Hunter R1, Hunter R5, and Windblume at R5. Remember, this is R5 and no R1 because it's a free weapon and everyone should be able to get this to an R5. No reason why you won't have this on R5. And Elegy for the end. This weapon is pretty special, but I will talk about it later. Before I go into the damage you'll be seeing, I'm going to explain how Venti Ult works. So we're going to hire the ult, and then whatever elements is on the enemy or near the enemy, one of them is going to get infused into the ult here. And you can see here we got Amino and Pyro, so we're going to do swirl damage right here. So we're going to do swirl damage, and this damage we see right now, that's coming up on the screen, the 2149, that's our damage over time damage. We're going to have 20 of this damage in total. And if we just go for a little bit, on the 4th one, you should see our ultimate is going to get infused. So that's our second one. And so VLC is being buggy today. I don't know why, but okay. Here's our third infusion. Or damage over time. And here's our second swirl. And here's our 4th damage over time. And you can see the pyro getting infused now. So it's going to be on the 4th tick of the damage. We're going to get pyro infused. And if I could get VLC to work, but it's not working that well today. And that's our second swirl damage. And now here, this 728, this is not swirl damage, this is the infusion damage. It's part of ultimate, so any artifacts or any weapon that boosts ultimate damage, this is going to get enhanced as well. And then we see more of the infusion damage, and we see more of the damage over time damage, which will be our amino damage. And of course we're going to also see a lot of the swirl damage. So in total we are going to do around 20 of the damage over time, which is our amino damage. We're going to do around 15 or 14 of the infusion damage. It's not consistent, but it's around there. And we're going to do 7 swirl damage. So that's how Venti Ult works. And let's just go back to the calculation. So now looking at the damage now, I separate these weapons into 2 different, I guess I can call categories. So these are more of support weapons, and these are more for sub DPS Venti. Favonius, you can actually just funnel all the particles into one of your DPS characters, or you can have a sacrificial bow, which can also funnel energy into your other characters. So these are not meant for Venti to do the most damage, but enable the rest of the team to do more damage. And that's what Elegy for the end does perfectly. I'll just call this the end from now. So this bow doesn't really give Venti any extra damage. It just gives the rest of the party members a lot more damage, because it will give them elemental mastery and more attack for the rest of your party. So your rest of your party will do a lot more damage, but Venti won't do the most amount of damage here, but that's okay because you're letting the rest of your team do so much more damage here. So this is still a very good bow. If you have it, you should consider using it. If you're wanting to build a really well-rounded team and you don't need Venti to do as much damage as you need him with like a hard work something. And up here are just what I call DPS or like damage weapons that enable Venti to do a lot more damage compared to these weapons. So as you can see here, I highlighted the highest damaging weapon, which is the Skyward Harp. This weapon is just very good. It gives you crit rate and crit damage all together, and also have some bonus hits in there, and that's what gives us just a little bit edge over some of the other weapons. Following second place is Hunter's R5. So this bow is very good, but you do have to get a refinement 5. So if you don't get refinement 5, it's not going to do as much damage, but if you do get this to refinement 5, it's going to do a lot of damage, almost the same amount as Harp, just lacking behind just a little bit. But this weapon, you do have to use a playstyle of quick swap. You gotta swap to Venti E, and then maybe do something else and then switch back. You can't stay on Venti forever, so this is really good for quick swap, but you should be playing Venti quick swap anyway, so yeah. Third place we have Stringless. So these are the top 3 weapons now. Stringless on R5. Stringless on R1 is still very good, but just not as good as R5, and R1 Stringless will get outshined by a lot of the other weapons here. So if you notice here, Black Cliff at fully stacked is doing a lot of damage, but this is a fully stacked Black Cliff, which is very hard to do, especially on a sub DPS like Venti. So this is going to be super hard to stack, and this is the damage you're probably looking at most of the time, so it's a lot less. So I wouldn't really recommend the Black Cliff. Following the Black Cliff is Viridescent Hunt. It's a very good bow. It does a lot of damage on its abilities and everything. And yeah, it's just a very good bow. If you have high refinement, this will do even more damage. But if you do have like an R2, R3, you can do a lot of damage. But I don't know how many people actually picked Viridescent Hunt more than once or twice. But yeah, if you have high refinement, it's going to do just a little bit more damage, but not by much. And then following that would be the Crescent bow. It's a very good bow. This one is calculated with if you hit an opponent weak point, and if you don't hit a point, and then following that is the Crescent bow at R1. This you do need to hit an opponent's weak spot. So just because the time it takes to charge up a shot and hit a weak spot, it's a lot of time. It's not really worth just doing it. You'd never really want to do aim shots on a Venti just because the damage is like the time you spend doing an aim shot is just not worth it. But yeah, it's okay bow, but you do need to hit a weak spot, and with opponents that don't have weak spots, you're kinda screwed there because it's just gonna do a lot less damage. Finally, we have Ammo's bow. I'm not surprised that Ammo's bow doesn't do that much damage considering it's meant for aim shot DPS characters like Ganyu, and it's really only good on Ganyu. So yeah, Ammo's bow, not that much damage. I wouldn't recommend using it. We have Rust as well. Rust is pretty decent. It's not the best. It's more for like a physical DPS bow user, but like Child and maybe like a C6 official, it's just not recommended here. And then I didn't talk about the refinements, R1 and R1 Stringless and R1 Hunter. R1 Hunter is very good. I can see the damage is pretty good, and R1 Stringless just lags behind a little bit. So I'll talk about which one, if you get some Hunter and a Stringless, which one you should use. I'll make another video talking more in depth about it, but if you want a short rundown, is that if you have like an an R3 Hunter, just don't even consider using Stringless. And Windblume, it's a very easy bow for us to get, and we can proc the ability super easily by just EQ right into Venti. And since Venti Q is a snapshot, we're gonna get the damage boost throughout the whole Q. So what do I recommend? If you have a Skyward Harp and you're not using any character because you just don't have another bow DPS character, consider using a Venti. It's gonna bring out so much damage. And if you have like some like Hunters or Stringless, these are also very good bows. This would be another good bow. All the free-to-play players gonna have it. And as for weapons I don't recommend Ammo's bow. I do not recommend Rust. I don't recommend Blackcliff. I don't recommend Crescent that much. But if you only have one of these bows and you have to use it, just you can, but it's just not going to be as good. I forgot about Viridescent Hunt. Viridescent Hunt is another bow I do recommend on Venti. And out of these bows, I recommend Favonius a decent bit. This is at the end is another good bow. And as for Sack Bow, I only recommend this weapon if you're gonna have it at high refinement, like R4 or R5. That's when I'll recommend this weapon. And other refinement, the cooldown's too long and just doesn't give us that much value. And if you're 100% free to play, the event is coming up, so you're gonna get a really good free bow we can use. But if you're watching this video maybe in the future and this event is already gone, then you're probably going to be stuck with a Favonius bow. It's not a bad bow, it's still a really good bow, and yeah, you can still use this and enable the rest of your team by just energy funneling the energy particles into your DPS characters or sub DPS characters. If you want to use this calculator where you just want to kind of look at the damage yourself, you can go in the description. I'll leave a link to this spreadsheet. It's not super it's not super interactive friendly, so if you don't know the stats, you can mess it up. I don't plan on making this super interactive friendly. It's just a one-off thing I made, but if you know what you're doing, you can just come in here and play around with yourself if you want. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys found this helpful and enjoyable to watch. Good luck for anyone that's rolling on the Venti banner. I already have him, so I won't be rolling on his banner. So good luck to anyone that's doing it, and I wish you guys the best gacha luck and have a nice day.